Back with another review, and today I'll be talking about and discussing 12 Monkeys. And this is a first time watch for me, and I did like the film. I will say it's quite a bit to process. Even watching this for the first time, it's one that I would say requires more viewing because it is a mind bender. And directed by Terry Gilliam now. Looking at his filmography, there's quite a few of his films I still haven't seen yet. I mean, Time Bandits I've heard about but haven't seen. I know he directed a film called Brazil. The Fisher King with Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams. That's a good flick. I do have that movie. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas he directed. I haven't seen, but I do have the film. He also directed The Brothers Grimm, the Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus or Parnassus. I don't know how you pronounce that, but I know that was technically Heath Ledger's last movie, but he wasn't able to complete the film, so he had other actors come in to, help complete the movie. But like I said, when it comes to Terry Gilliam, there's still, quite a bit of his films I haven't seen. But, when it comes to 12 Monkeys, like I said, it's still a film. It's a film that I'm still sort of processing, if you will. Like I said, I did like the movie. Is it one that I would find myself rewatching a lot? To be honest, I mean, not really. I mean, good cast. I mean, I will say that. I mean, Bruce Willis, Madeline Stowe, Brad Pitt. Interesting story. I like the premise, and sort of getting to that and going off some notes here too as well. So that's why I'm looking over here. But in the future, you have Bruce Willis. He's imprisoned. This character, James Cole, and he's sent back to the 90s to find information about this plague, this virus that's going to, take out the vast majority of the world. And he's actually sent back like a few years before it's supposed to happen, and they don't believe him. So he's sent to this mental institution, and you have this doctor who's played by Madeline Stowe, and at this mental institution he meets Brad Pitt's character, who's this manic character, schizophrenic type, and he's very fidgety. And like I said, Bruce Willis is trying to gather information about this virus that is going to happen, but it's a few years before it's supposed to, take place. And, Jeffrey, Brad Pitt's character, you find out that he's the son of this virus expert who is played by Christopher Plummer, and that soon he's going to lead this group of these extremist, people that are planning to release this virus, which they're called the Army of the 12 Monkeys. And Bruce Willis's character is trying to track them down. And you have the sort of subplot between him and Madeline Stowe, where, again, Madeline Stowe is a psychiatrist, and Bruce Willis's character is from the future, and he's trying to, stop this plague from happening, going after this, activist group with Brad Pitt, his character. And again, his character is very, you see his character in the mental institution in the beginning, where he's very, again, manic and schizophrenic and very fidgety, and then later on you would see him, leading this group. And it's up to Bruce Willis's character to stop this from happening, and that's kind of the story here. And again, I like the story. It's an interesting story, especially how the film opens up, with the future, how it looks. I thought, that, and how in the beginning where Bruce Willis, he would have to wear the suit. And it's weird now how this film deals with the virus and, all this COVID stuff going on. So, is it a matter of time before we have to wear these suits like Bruce Willis does in this film? And it's almost like a giant condom, like a giant plastic suit, just this plastic suit where he has to go out but again, I liked, the futuristic sort of look in the beginning where you see this world and, it's very dark. So, the first, I was really grabbed by the first 15, 20 minutes of the film and, seeing Bruce Willis's character in the future and this world, this environment. I thought, it looked, okay, I'm like, this is really cool. I like the way this looks and you throw in time travel, into the story. So you're dealing with time travel and Bruce Willis's character, again, is trying to prevent this plague from happening. So again, there's some interesting, ingredients there in the plot and the story. And again, by the first 20 minutes, I was interested in, this future and Bruce Willis's character and, how that was, the production value. And when he goes back in time to the 90s and, again, he's at this mental institution. It's kind of like Cuckoo's Nest, and that's when Brad Pitt comes in. And that's one thing. I know Brad Pitt, he was, I wrote down right here, he was nominated for Academy Award, but he lost out to Kevin Spacey. Brad Pitt's character, when we first see him in the mental institution, I don't know. I like Brad Pitt. He's a great actor, but I don't know if I really cared for. And that's just me. I can only speak for myself. I know people might disagree with this, but I don't know. I just, where he's trying to act very schizophrenic and, fidgeting a lot and, talking to Bruce Willis when they have their scenes in the beginning. I didn't really care for his acting. I thought maybe he was overdoing it a little bit. Again, Brad Pitt's a great actor, but that part of it, and then later on, you kind of get a little bit more, but I don't know, I just didn't really care for his acting there. Again, I thought he was trying too hard, at this time, what year did this come out? 95? And I know this was at a time when Brad Pitt was starting to break through. He had just done Legends of the Fall and, Interview with the Vampire and Seven. So, he was becoming a big star. But, again, Brad Pitt, the little bit in the beginning where, we're first introduced to his character, I don't know if I really cared for his acting there. It's like he's trying a little bit too hard, but that's just me. I don't know how to describe it. But I can only speak for myself. People might disagree, and that's fine. But, for me, Bruce Willis, he played an interesting character here. It's not your typical Bruce Willis role. The same year he had Die Hard with a Vengeance, which if you were to ask me, I much prefer that over 12 Monkeys. But that's me being more of an action fan, being a fan of that franchise. And, while here, it's a different character, it's a different performance. It's more of a, I don't know if you would say low-key performance or, it's more of a vulnerable Bruce Willis. It's not like a John McClane or, his character from The Fifth Element or what have you. It's a different performance. But Bruce Willis is good. Madeline Stowe, great actress. And I thought she was good here too. And I thought, her and Bruce Willis, had a good back and forth. And, they, for a little bit there, Madeline Stowe, like Bruce Willis, when he first arrived in 1990, and then he would reappear again a few years later he would find Madeline Stowe's character, and they would be on the run. And I thought, they had some decent chemistry there. Madeline Stowe's a great actress. And then you have, Frank Gorshin in there, who plays a doctor. Yeah, the Riddler from the old Batman series with Adam West. So I'm like, hey, that's Frank Gorshin. So yeah, but interesting cast here. Like I said, the only thing is, to me, Brad Pitt, he's a great actor, but I don't know if I really care for his manic, acting, in the first 30 minutes of the film. I mean, later on you would find out more about the character, but like I said, I don't know if I cared for that acting. Maybe I thought he was trying too hard, or I just didn't really care for the way he acted, but that's just me. And like I said, it's a film that's hard for me to really talk about because, watching this for the first time, there's a lot of stuff that happens that, I know I was reading some reviews on IMDb, and some people might say that it kind of gets a little bit muddled, confusing. It definitely takes a lot of twists and turns, and it's quite a bit to process because, there's a lot going on with the plot and the way that the movie is directed and, driven. And people, I know some have said that it's kind of Terry Gilliam for you, but I haven't seen a whole lot of this film, so, this is kind of me taking all of this in. So if you're expecting, like, if you want a deep review of this film, I'm not going to give you much of a deep review, as far as like looking for meanings and, philosophical meanings. I know this is one film that a lot of people, when it comes to that type of thing, they really go into and, go into the meanings, go into the deep, part of 12 Monkeys and all these different, rabbit holes or whatnot. But again, watching this for the first time, I'm just sort of taking this in. I mean, as far as like features, I mean, there's not any features on this DVD. Even though it says collector's edition, but there's no features. And, excuse me, as far as like, I know everyone talks about the ending. Interesting, but, and I don't want to really give it away for people who haven't seen the film. It is definitely a crazy ending, but I thought, I mean, I saw what they were doing. I don't know. I mean, again, people might say, well, that's Gilliam's trademarks. That's his style. But for people who have seen the film, you know what the ending is. But I'm not going to really give away too much here. But as far as like the ending is concerned, I mean, I'm kind of like, okay, but that's just me. And as far as like, other notes here, because now the film, I didn't even mention like budget, or because the budget was around 30 million and it made like 170 million worldwide, and Bruce Willis took a lower salary than his star status would normally entitle, because I think Terry Gilliam saw Die Hard and he liked Bruce Willis's performance in that. And I think what happened was that he wanted Bruce Willis for The Fisher King, but it didn't work out, and they had talked about it. I mean, Bruce Willis met up with Terry Gilliam and he wanted to work with Terry Gilliam, but he didn't get The Fisher King, so he would later work with him on this film. And what's funny is that I think Terry Gilliam wanted Jeff Bridges for the main character, for the main role. So it's funny how that kind of worked out. Like, The Fisher King stars Jeff Bridges and Robin Williams. And that's a great movie. So it worked out for the best. That's a great movie. And, because of, meeting a few years before this film, Terry Gilliam and Bruce Willis, they would, because I think Bruce Willis been wanting to work with Terry Gilliam. So, and I try to think what else to mention here because, again, I don't know who's fucking... Something's going on. Somebody's doing some yard work, and somebody's always doing yard work around here. But anyway, that's fine. See, I'm trying to think what else to mention here with this film because, like I said, it's a film that I like, but at the end of the day, I don't see myself rewatching this film a lot. You know, I will say Bruce Willis is good here, Madeline Stowe is good, Brad Pitt, you know, like I said, I don't really care for his manic acting, you know, trying to be schizophrenic and Cuckoo's Nest and, you know, that portion of the film. And later on, you know, you see a little bit of that, but I don't know. I know what they were trying to do. I get what the story, you know, where it was going, the premise, and such, but I'm not. Maybe I prefer, like I would say, Bruce Willis is good and Madeline Stowe is good. Brad Pitt, I wasn't, you know. Again, I know people are gonna disagree, but I just wasn't into Brad Pitt's acting here. And it's a crazy movie. I mean, and definitely it's a film that will make you think. And so, I mean, this is not going to be a rant. And I don't want to make it seem like I don't like the film. It's just a film that, and you can see this in this review, that I'm trying to lay out and convey and, you know, give some thoughts out. And I really want to say more about the film. And again, I don't want to make it seem like I didn't like the film or whatnot. But it's just one that I don't see myself, hey, you know, I'm going to watch 12 Monkeys today. You know, when there's other Bruce Willis films I'd rather watch more, like Die Hard or The Fifth Element or The Last Boy Scout, Last Man Standing, you know, Hostage. There's other Bruce Willis films that I prefer more. And it's an interesting film that's well directed, has a very interesting plot. I would say, you know, when I talked about the first 20 minutes of the film where you see the future Bruce Willis's character, and it does reappear, you know, throughout the film where his character's in the future, and I was more interested in that and that type of, you know, environment and the way that the world looked in the 2030s. So I'm like, is this where we're headed with this COVID crap? You know, we're going to start wearing these condom-looking suits. But anyways, so yeah, I'll just wrap it up here. Yeah, 12 Monkeys, again, it's a film that I like the film, but, you know, I don't know if I would say, for me, it's a rewatchable film. Like, it's a go-to film. Bruce Willis, I'll give the film Bruce Willis and Madeline Stowe. Brad Pitt, But, yeah. So again, I don't know what else I can add here. And I don't want to, and I know I keep reiterating this, but I don't want to make it seem like a rant. But it's just, maybe it's a film that probably definitely requires more viewing. But at the same time, you know, seen this once, okay, you know, I like the film, but that's all I can say for the moment. Because it's definitely mind-bending, and so, yeah, definitely one that requires more processing. But that's my review of 12 Monkeys. So thank you for watching this review, and I know this is not going to be the best review of the film. Some people might disagree with some points because, you know, it gets high marks on IMDb and high rating, but, you know, this is just me being honest. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not bad, but, you know, I'm just kind of repeating stuff, but Thank you for watching my review of 12 Monkeys, and stay tuned for the next one.